Vocabio. Master English your way.
Go, what should I ask him? She goes, what's on your mind? So I walk up to him and I'm like, what's on your mind?
We'll look at retail today.
Well, that was exactly where my mind was going with that. We think the sort of nervousness that we have.
Remember, but it's pretty close to 100%.
Oh, okay. Never. So that's why you don't remember.
Yeah, right. Because who's going to say no?
There are other elements that we ought to be bearing in mind from the upbeat account that we got from Peter.
So, to my mind, I wasn't that surprised. I know it's easy to say that in hindsight, but
eliminates the cattle rule. Now, the huge plume of smoke
us into a cattle car. I'll speak about the cattle cars in a minute.
Difficult thing, like say, hey, now we got 60 dairy or 60. We say, I'm just want to still use that for example.
To sell everything from cattle to real estate to art.
Friends came, and they told us that we need to.
Yellow chamomile. He dropped acid and skateboard downtown unanchored, well past business hours.
I was visiting a friend, and we were downtown hanging out, as kids do, you know, causing some commotion.
Yeah, kids hang out these days.
Lambda place in downtown Baltimore, and I would tell my mother I had to work.
Restaurant in downtown Athens, and you know, it's very exciting to see chefs.
Law that sort of draws a sharp border around the downtown area that you can't build out of as the city has grown.
Say, Sam, hang the consequences, or curse yourself forever for your cowardice.
I will not have to leave the village with a curse on me. Many people have opinions.
So I, to this day, haven't drank. I don't really curse often. Not because anybody ever told me, hey, Emmanuel, don't curse.
Tsar in Russia, it's God-forsaken, it's cursed.
Когда туда приходит хороший человек. Picking up the nuance of what I'm saying. In some ways, the curse of Twitter, the curse of social media, is that perception.
For those of you who don't know, he's one of the world's best snowboarders. He's a 10-time world champion snowboarder.
Almost like the driving range of surfing. It's almost like snowboarders where they're able to practice a run over and over and over again.
Very old to be a pro snowboarder at 35. So it's
athlete then, you know, to a snowboarder, and you know, it's gonna. I'm very eager, very excited.
From this image, snowboarders are pushing into 230, 240-foot jumps. So,
and prevent her from falling prey to nymphomania. Not a real thing.
Of reverse psychology. Even adults fall prey to this trap. If I tell you not to think of an...
Welcome Simon Keynes, their prey, and Joe Story, who are going to be talking about the exhibition.
I like to call it predator mode. We're not the prey anymore. That 40 push-ups isn't putting us in backing us in.
Rabbits and other natural prey every year. A recent study by the SUNY College of...
Here, and here's even a tiny calcium line. So we can measure the strength of these lines, and then
from that, my protein levels, my calcium levels, my everything, because I didn't go to like meat.
In particular, because you know, I've always heard that dairy was a primary source of calcium. It was also a primary source of protein.
A treatment for Parkinson's, because the same calcium channels are involved in the nervous system. So there's a.
So the zooxanthellae are living inside the coral's hard calcium carbonate shell. So they're protected from predators.
Of liberty. I found an oasis of enlightenment. I took jobs.
There's an area there called the Schumacher Oasis, and then you go further inland and you'll hit some mountains, and this is where...
Porque desde la Fundación nos interesa impulsar intercambios académicos y culturales.
And our very famous OASIS. Morocco is well known for its oasis.
Presentations focusing on the Great Lakes region and oases on the edge of the vast Sahara Desert.
Crusader Kings, I played every fucking mod that they put out for that for 10 years. Yeah. I play a French game.
Can you walk us through what modifications, if any, will be made to Starliner ahead of its return?
Remember to avoid that MMOD strike. After that. And we do have some cameras outside that we control.
The client asked us to put variety in and to...
About what really happened and where did these mobs come from? And one of the questions I get asked a lot is who...
Why the election has been manipulated. If there are any experiments in virtual spaces in politics at the moment, I think that
experiment, his way of governing. We know what
David's books, of course, are based on evidence and experiment and so on, but they're very interesting.
Became very socialist, started experimenting with ideas of closing off its.
Means is that those are 10 billion trillion experiments that have been run.
Persuades the English government to send a Royal Navy fleet out to India to follow the French.
The Army had its own program, and the Navy had its own program. There were scientific efforts.
Sharp Navy suits and ties and fancy sunglasses, you know.
Scourge of sailors, Navy SEALs, isn't scurvy.
Ferrer had been an officer in the Spanish Navy and had served in Spain's Royal Observatory in.
Survived, providing access to the old alleyway fabric hidden behind the towers, revealing traces.
Back and I start following him through these alleyways, and I come out to this opening, and then at the end of the
up through these tiny little alleyways, but they figured out a way to get Coca-Cola on a.
We were assaulted in an alleyway many years ago, and you know they stole.
They found tents to sleep in. They found alleyways, potholes, wherever they could lay their head.
Products of architecture and the appliances of architecture. So to dive into this a little deeper.
Benefits of your home, low energy usage appliances, and so there's, you know, it's important.
Hot water heater, the kitchen appliances, etc. And toward the back there are figures that
is not cooked with the appliances that we are providing and seeing everywhere. And
society comes up with a brilliant idea for an appliance that could transform your life by, say,
quality to the needs of wintertime and the type of foods that you get.
Alan Barker in the wintertime, a Catskill comedian, and
quality to the needs of wintertime and the type of foods that you get. Quality to the needs of wintertime and the type of foods that you get.
Mosquitoes and certain moths whose caterpillars decimate our trees would grow.
So the three mic, and I was listening to that show, The Moth, a lot. That radio show.
Nature. Let's start with this picture of a New Zealand moth from about a century ago. It's got this fantastic name.
We're drawn to it like moths to the flame. We need to realize
mealworm, and the caterpillar. So this moth, the Spodoptera frugiperta, comes from a caterpillar.
Some of the big corporations, Caterpillar, Apple, Jaguar Land Rover, warned that.
Cassidy and Son of Jaguar.
Hey, so many familiar faces.
And just to know that in the Amazon, jaguar shamans still journey beyond the Milky Way.
For instance, a giant anteater needs claws to fight off a jaguar. A stingray needs a stinger on its tail.
Clients like Jaguar, Nike, Audi, Marvel, Apple, Netflix, and GM.
To build even more solar panels to actually create sustainable energy source on a very large scale.
On a suit, but also like powwow braids and Indian Health Service Coke bottle eyeglasses and
about our careers and about our workforce as a braided river. So the article that came out of
administration and public policy. Phoebe Braid, Master of Arts in Urban Studies.
Big hair, refusing to get it braided, getting chased home from school, being called all kinds of names.
Instituted this kind of discipline where every single week I'd meet a new person who was expert in anything.
A mixture of disciplines. You might have people with deep sexual expertise, practitioners, but also designers.
That particular focal group of disciplines. So, for instance, you need mechanical engineers.
But I think embedding that discipline, guardrails in an
trade-offs there. Plus, you have a complete disparate disciplines here. I'm sure you have specialists in each one.
Mothers unknowingly offload poison into the mouths of their eager young.
Why should we pile in behind them and poison our own relations with the West? So they've got a very difficult dilemma.
We may fight with the ones we love, poison our bodies with drugs, go to war.
The streets of London were beginning to poison its people. But this wasn't just a British
cat. The cat, there is a little poison or something that makes the cat sleep that might or might not.
ground crew to pull the wheel chocks. Within minutes, the petite blonde was piloting the F-16 fighter jets.
Into that trap of being fit and fatigued. When we think about performance in an athletic sense, the
culture, and nobody wants to see a petite pastrami sandwich here.
I'm 4'10", so I'm pretty petite. I've had reactions.
15 years old, a petite, nerdy, multiracial young woman. I walked
my best, and the other is, okay, once I know her, I want to Velcro to her. I want to be her all the time. How do I get back?
Super cheap Velcro wallets, these plastic fingerboards.
Because your feet will swell when you get there, and you need to have Velcro attached to them to stop the sand getting in. That's about as much as...
Bad news is like Velcro and good news is like Teflon.
Fabric, and that's a closure of Velcro, because I love the idea of things being adjustable.
My den mother all came rushing over and escorted me out of the danger, protecting me with their bodies. These were all.
Yeah, I think the Roberts Court is clearly going to limit that. Has
already. David's with us to clarify.
Off a mustache, slap on a wig, give me a prop, squirt water in my mouth, and push me bodily back onto the stage.
We were the turtles. And the turtles, yeah.
Squirt?
We were there was a bunch of...
By the way, she just wasn't squirting, so he didn't think it counted. So many
opportunities here, right? It's a rough and tumble business, and there's shrinkage, as they say in the retail world. And so low
capital, mutual expectations, and a society can tumble over very quickly.
Creating a clearing. You know, we just tumble into the future, and it's as if we're
tough, proud of being a rough and tumble type, and from
that been maybe a month later, and he tumbles out of an Uber. He looks like he tumbled out of a dumpster.
A&E waiting times, cancer waiting times, elective care waiting times, and they're monthly, and the numbers are reported.
Photography as an elective while obtaining a biology degree from Stanford.
And the 2024 Architectural Association Ljubljana elective. He was elected.
Position of the state. Anti-union electeds hold supermajorities in pretty much every southern.
His jaw, the collective jaw of his staff just dropped.
Modeling what's coming, and then within some interval of confidence, like with a degree of predictability, we're trying.
Their 95% confidence interval for year 2100 is 3.8 billion.
I guess the optimal interval between gambles is 3.5 seconds.
At a certain interval, they can sustain remissions from depression.
Extract these at 5-minute intervals per machine and then aggregate them. And then
really sensitive child is the one who notices every little piece of litter, but mom wishes we could just get to school rather than stopping.
Some neighborhoods that have more street litter than others, they may not get cleaned as often as other.
Fireworks and exploding kitty litters and things like that was probably what came.
Behind me, this is the downtown litter crew for Greenville. And this is a perfect example.
And cast, littering our world with non-compostable isms.
Sure, in principle, you could take any home, rip out the wet system, put in ducts and stuff like that, and it'd be.
This all might sound too good to be true. You're taking a cell, you're ripping off its cell wall and collecting the insides. You add.
Those things have now just been ripped wide open. Yeah, well, I want to come back to Rwanda, because the ripping up of the we part of our society, the constant
unelected but elected by a party, she just thought, I can rip everything up and start again because I'm now in complete.
Art and moving image media in the Americas and the former Soviet Union. She works on.
Cola nut had made its way to the Americas. Brazilian oral narratives tell of enslaved people.
After they had killed 98% of the natives of the Americas, they needed labor in order to build.
Across the Atlantic Ocean from Africa to the Americas, it would last 10 to 12 weeks depending on where you left.
Adults. Turns out that Americans are second in the world in science literacy.
Three things could be done to remedy the situation. The first would be to start
looking at every moment of my entrepreneurial journey. So that was the time I said to myself, why can't
conversation is the remedy, and to make a bad pun, I call it
and remedy the root of the systematic problem.
And I did that exactly to try to remedy this situation. So if you read nothing else, you could just read those.
In particular than the gentle jolt Proust received from a Madeleine.
It's time to take a chance on this guy because India needs a jolt. And, you know, I regret having written that. But
you love it. That jolt of delight isn't just a happy accident.
People into realizing how much race matters.
There has to be a really big confidence jolt, and it's not clear to me where that would come from.
A book by Maria Kornikova on poker, because it has great insights into people, into
everything comes to him easy. He plays poker with his buddies and wins everything again and again and again.
You're playing poker and waging a peaceful warfare.
With the amazing book Live Poker, hands up who's read Live Poker. Ha! Okay.
Sammy's won the steakhouse in a poker game off a guy named Sammy.
100%. It was one.
Shown if we don't take care of these jewels, they will disappear, and they're really limiting the number of.
And this is like as we're going in to run the jewels, and then later we got invited to play Dismal Land, to play Banksy's actual.
750,000 Jews were murdered in Treblinka. 40.
Da Consolação, número 24/24, dentro de uma joia da cidade que é Instituto Moreira.
Thousands of islands flung like jewels upon the southern seas. And we know that 10 centuries before
place. We know that physical college campuses are expensive to maintain. And EMS services, and I'm the medical director for the campus EMS system that you're sitting in the system for right now. I'm the medical.
With campuses in Lagos, in Benin, in Tanzania.
Spread in recent years from campuses to every walk of life.
But I've done a lot of work in America on American campuses. Yep. And if you go to a campus in America with students,
you're really good at PowerPoint decks. Could you write a grace sentence?
Headed to the New World. You're down below deck with your fellow sailors, and you're all sick.
General Electric's laboratory in Schenectady, New York, was the center for synthetic diamond research
than most traditional primes. Our first pitch deck to our investors, who are very aligned with us, said it plainly.
Mission U, I mean, anyone who saw our pitch deck before there was even a company, when it was just like a seed of an idea.
Largest scale, 1 to 500 are made out of foam, so we can start to see the massing of the city, the width of streets.
The exterior could be made of paint, foam core. It's like profoundly agnostic in terms of its material.
Quantum foam, where universes.
Therapy and other trendy things like that, heat treatments, foam roller, everything, and that's another.
And listen to the sparkling foam, like feelings being fustigated.
That they did not need the feeder system that others that they had been using.
We are using COVID mortality data as a feeder into other studies, like studies of the effectiveness of mask wearing.
White Nile, meaning it's one of the main feeders of the River Nile. It is also one of the most biodiverse.
Win some of that money from those feeders.
That was City Life Feeder Urbana elevating anti-displacement work to a place.
And some of the outer boroughs, and there's just a huge difference in what they.
And then she asked a question that burrowed under my skin and never left. She said,
UPIX. While they grew up a borough apart, like Vesey, he rooted for the same team.
In New York City, in all 5 boroughs, something which I've done every year since I did this map, because it was
into people and businesses in the borough, which is missions-based, and particularly
are tasting a lot of wines. You might spit it in a spit bucket. Hopefully tonight, wherever.
And then it will spit out the best hits to that.
This machine is going to overtake us and spit us out because we're irrelevant, are we not?
Spit out, and he's a smaller version of mom and dad, but his equipment is online.
It's high sodium. I'll spit out the sodium.
A pickle A bagel with lox, a
sister more in the lunchroom, and, you know, honestly, a 13-year-old fight.
In the lunchroom booms, but we are.
I knew you guys weren't going to like that.
The den of snakes that is a middle school lunchroom, or if you are me.
Back at the lunchroom, in the break room, they began to refer to him as Sloppy Joe.
Crowded in the lunchroom, wearing masks all day long in a manufacturing setting.
So we sat down with the publisher and with Wizards and really talked through, gosh, what can we do to
remember that young boy who fell in love with the Wizard of Oz and fairy tales and ballet and going to see the
gold standard for costume, second to Wizard of Oz in the greater like costume universe. The same man costume.
And David Henry, who we all know from Wizards of Waverly Place, and obviously that's his connection with Selena.
But I'm not a chess wizard. But what's so interesting about the game itself and the strategy.
It wasn't just among Cubans and Venezuelans in Miami-Dade County who have a particular issue about the woods. So
college, and I could also be at the Cook County Juvenile Detention Center. And so for me, it's about like navigating.
Began this work as a volunteer chaplain at the Cook County Jail in Chicago. And it was there that I was confronted.
Today, about 11% of the counties in this country that actually have an.
He did this big event at County Hall, you know, a global mental health summit.
Leaving in droves. It doesn't make any sense. It smacks of hypocrisy. And it creates a situation, I think, where Democrats...
Difficult thing, like reality is going to smack me in the face. So instead, again, it's that...
Hilarious. This is the funniest thing we've ever seen. I got smacked on the backside and it's really funny. If you don't believe me...
If it didn't have cholera in it and cholera smacks Haiti, you better change the plan. You better change the budget. And that, again...
Observation Sensing System. Lovely acronym. We smacked into the South Pole of the moon.
You know, reflective of different issues, and I do know what it's like to be an unhappy
architecture in the Jose Luis Sert era, but of the paradoxes it carried, we also find
meal, and you can dramatically boost the weight of their stool, and actually
shortage of out to give it to you.
Amen. There is no.
You have to be twice as good as the white man.
Amen.
Always said that to me. You have to be twice as good, twice as good.
Development. I think magic could happen.
Amen on this side, on that.
I really remember. So thank you.
Amen, Joe. Thank you. Loving that beard.
Concert, we're leaving the arena, coming out into the foyer. Parents were in the foyer to meet their kids and take them home.
Space in this building is the foyer, and it's an L-shaped space, which is accessed at two corners.
Goes into a triangular shaped foyer. You pass through a utility bar where there's
Landy Liu, founder and CEO at ʻfɔɪ.ər, Andrew Ludwig, principal at High Opportunity.
Briefly mentioned that the Reporters Committee actually filed a FOIA request to the DOJ and a couple of its subcomponents.
Most recently, Net Zero, in which he addresses the action we all need to take to tackle the climate.
To ensure that criticisms and actions autonomous of the government's wishes.
That they believe the safest possible course of action is simply to cut women out of your life altogether, to have
the non-military means replace the actions of soldiers. I mean, for example...
And loves the people in his country. And he conducts, yes, destructive military actions.
Who are you talking about now? Who loves his country?
Go to Beirut, the pearl of the Levant, the most civilized and beautiful and colorful.
An apron with red lipstick and like pearls, like strands and strands of pearls, while she was cooking.
And said, who's going?
When you were at Spelman, did you take a class from Pearl Clegg? I did. I took a playwriting class.
Talked about war in the 1890s over the Venezuelan border issue. And there was,
the seizure of the Venezuelan leader, the threats towards Greenland, the threats towards...
Helicopters from the Venezuelan army.
Who is now over 80 years old, a Venezuelan historian. She's amazing. She's looked at long waves. Roughly 3 million Venezuelan refugees, and one of them
productive and the rest of us are rubbish because they produce PowerPoints in 30 seconds and you labor away for 6 hours so you can
push the PowerPoints together, and yet there's some amazing
productive and the rest of us are rubbish because they produce PowerPoints in 30 seconds and you labor away for 6 hours so you can.
And that's the reason for no PowerPoints, because they would take some of your attention and that
no pictures of faces in any of their PowerPoints.
Wow.
It was all Greek letters and graphs.
With more stress also tend to have worse acne in various studies. For example, one small
insane to do in 18 months, but that's just the type of athlete and type of person I am. You know, once I
enough tomatoes, for instance, for acne. So, I mean, usually my mother's recipes.
I began struggling with severe acne during my freshman year of high school. It was 2020.
Similar ways. How do you see the athenaeum structure today?
I actually see it.
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.